for being here. We'll just start seated. So if anybody feels, I do have a couple blocks. Does anybody feel like they need a block? Yeah, okay. I have a couple, so I'll get you. So otherwise, just seated. And if you want to bolster, there's a couple bolsters too. But I got 2 blocks. Thank you. Do you want a block? Do you feel? How about you just have
Yeah,
one?
we'll leave it here.
And Tommy, do you need a bolster? Yeah. Okay. Yep. I'm just going to do a little bit of centering and grounding here before we begin. So just close down your eyes. And you're seated, when you sit on a bolster or a block, it sort of lets your spine be a little taller. And so you just want to be able to rest your hands on your legs. And as you close your eyes, you just take your gaze internal to assess your inner landscape. And so the point right now would be to seek out the still point in your body. Find that place within where you feel like there's stillness and a sense of peace. And so go to that place within your body. And just take some deeper breaths. So as you breathe in, stay connected to that still point, and as you breathe out, it's like a way of almost dropping in a little deeper to this place. And so how you can relate this feeling to be like a relaxed sensation of coming home. So just finding that within. So in this physical practice, our breath is kind of like an anchor, reminding us to stay very close to our body, to listen to our body. And continual movement of breath is key. So you adjust what you do physically so that you can always be breathing. And so as your mouth closes, you can touch your tongue to the back of your teeth. And your breathing, rhythmic breathing starts here. And ideally, with this style of breathing, it's equal amount of time to breathe in, equal amount of time to breathe out. So start that style of breath. It's also an opportunity to really allow your lungs, allow yourself to use a greater capacity of your lungs. So when you breathe in, there's a softening of the belly so that your rib cage can expand, and that helps you to really expand your lungs more consciously than maybe how you operate for most of the day. And upon your exhalation, just really keeping your spine straight. So we work on posture throughout this practice. And so as you breathe in, this relaxing of the belly, and as you breathe out, it's almost like you're cinching in around your waistline. So you're pulling your navel towards your spine, and that keeps your spine tall. Just very simple, but there is a lot of mindfulness happening here with how you breathe, with how you hold a very simple pose. We'll just take a couple more cycles of breath here. And now on your exhalation, you're gonna push your blocker bolster away from underneath of you, and you're gonna take your legs to cross and just switch your legs. So the other leg is now in front. And it's not quite like interlocking the legs. You want one shin in front. Now the shin that's in front, you're gonna place your heart over top of that knee and just let yourself come into stretch, extending your fingers out away from your knee. So there's this, this slight movement of your body. Every time you inhale, it's like lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, move in a little deeper. I'm just going to slowly warm up. One last exhalation here, and then when you inhale, sit back up and change your legs so that the other leg is in front, and put your heart over that other knee. Inhale to create length in your spine, and exhale to move into that space. Come back up to center. Tuck your hands to the front of your knees. And now you're going to just lift your chest up as you breathe in. Puff up your chest to the sky. And then when you breathe out, you're gonna hollow out the belly and round yourself. As you hold your knees, you wanna like hollow the belly. And then inhale, bend your elbows and lift up. Start to move your spine, exhale. To round back and just keep going to the rhythm of your breath. And we'll just do one more of these. So inhale to come up. Exhale to tip back. And then on your inhale, reach your hands up to the sky. Look up. And as you exhale, you're gonna turn to the left. So right hand to your left knee, twist, look around the corner. And then inhale to come back up, reach to the sky. And slow exhale now, turning to the right. Twist. Back again, up to center. Now exhale forward. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, hands behind you now, okay? Push into the heels of the hands, lift up your chest. And then exhale back to center. Change your legs, just the other leg in front. Inhale, arms up. We'll go one more time. One more cycle. Exhale, turn to the left. Twist. Inhale to the middle. To the right. To the middle, reach up. And forward. To the middle, reach to the sky. And back. Puff up your chest, look up. And then exhale, hands forward. Inch yourself forward so that you're on your knees. And you're gonna come into a child's pose. So leaning your hips back to your heels. Rest your forehead on the ground, child's pose. All right, and then from here, you're gonna come forward onto your hands and you're gonna inch your knees together. So you want your knees touching. Now, if you're, I'll cue you to go to the next level soon. So you're gonna lower yourself halfway, and then you're going to keep your elbows bent and drop the belly and your hips down. Okay. And so bend your elbows, keep your pelvis on the ground. And this can also look like this too, okay? All right, and then you're going to come back into child's pose. All right. So as you come forward onto your hands, you might just lower your elbows a little bit. You might not go all the way halfway to the ground. So just feel your body. And then lower the pelvis, keep the elbows bent, peel the shoulders back. And then come back into a child's pose variation. Okay, so I'll give you, so keep going with this. And if you have issues with your wrists and you're feeling like this is just not working for me, you can keep your hands underneath your shoulders and you can come into this position. Do you want to keep your elbows down? Yeah, perfect. So then just stay right like this and just really work on your back body. Yeah, and so you can keep moving through this expression. You can do a couple more cycles, lowering halfway, lifting, and lowering. And then on your next exhalation, you can find tabletop where your hands are down underneath of you, or a downward facing dog. And we're just gonna make our way to the top of our mat. So slowly walking your feet forward, 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 until you're standing at the top of your mat, bent over, your hands are touching the floor. All right. Separate your feet hip distance apart, and as you inhale, find a halfway lift. So lift your chest halfway up, and then as you exhale, fold. As you inhale, rise up to the sky. So reach your hands up, and exhale, your hands come to your heart center. Inhale, lift both arms up to the sky, and clasp your fingers, release your index fingers, thumbs crossed. Step your feet together, reach up. Now stretch up and out of your waist and go up and over to the right. And come back up and go up and over to the left. Now on your next inhale, back up to center and go up and over to the right and stay here. Look forward. Continue to lift up and out of your waist. And just take your right shoulder a bit forward. Left shoulder a little bit back. Right hip slightly back, and your left hip slightly forward. It's just like keeping your chest and your hips level to the front. So if you feel like your shoulders really start to scream at you, you can always drop your right hand to your side. You can also bend your elbows. But in this practice, we're going to hold these poses a little bit longer, giving you time to really assess your body. Look forward. Lift up and out of your waist. The grip on your left hand is really helpful. You want to think about lifting up and out of your waist as your hips move to the left. Straighten out your legs, especially the right leg. And then see if your hips can move now further to the left and come down here. Breathe for 3, for 2, and 1. Come back up. Take your arms back behind your ears, bring your hips forward, upper body back, other side, reach up, and go up and over to the left. Okay, so every single pose has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when we're holding for a while, you want to work your way into the depth. So you don't want to go goof right into it all the way. Move up and out of the waist. It's like your left hand really grips onto your right hand. There's little adjustments here. So your left shoulder comes forward a little and your left hip moves a little bit back. Hips to the right. You want to feel like you're fitting between glass. So bringing your navel towards your spine, you're really extending through the whole right side. And still finding that slow, steady breathing. Straighten your left leg. Most of the weight's in your heels, soften your toes. See if your hips will move now further to the right as you find your edge and as you continue to breathe. Stay here, finding the full expression of this pose for you for 3, for 2, and 1. Come back up to center. Now take your hands behind your head. Elbows are going to be shoulder distance apart. You're going to lift your elbows up towards the sky and look up. As we slowly drop our heads back, keep your legs straight and your hips pressing forward. Drop your head into your hands as you continue to go back. And think about at the same time bringing your elbows up towards the sky. Drop your head. Neutral pelvis. Continuing to go back. So for those of you that prefer to go into a deeper back bend, you can take your hands to your low back and you can continue to go back. Take it slowly, so holding your head might be exactly what you need. You can keep going and going. And then come back up to center. Reach your arms up to the sky. And as you transition, bending your knees, as you squeeze your navel towards your spine, protects your low back, making this transition, going down until your hands touch the floor. Now bend one knee at a time and shift your hips, exaggerate the shifting of the hips to the right and to the left, side to side. You might want to bend both knees and squat down, right down, and straighten the legs a few times. Feel free to do that. So folding over your legs, you're gonna bend your knees and take a grip with your fingers under your heels. So if your elbows are really out to the sides, separate your feet, hip distance, and hold the backs of your calves. You wanna feel like your elbows can disappear behind your legs. Belly is touching your thighs. Your chest on knees and your head hangs heavy at the top of your spine. Tiny little movements as every time you breathe. So when you inhale, find length in your spine. And as you exhale, just continue tipping forward, eventually straightening the legs more and more. There's this slight pulling up on the heels as you inhale and folding forward as you exhale. Just a couple more breaths here. Okay, and then slowly come back up to stand. So straightening your spine as you come all the way up, reach to the sky. And your hands come to your heart center as your feet touch. Okay, as you inhale, reach up towards the sky. And now when you exhale, the left foot's gonna lift off the floor and you're going to extend your leg back as your arms sweep back. And then you're gonna come back up to stand. And we're gonna make this progressive. So inhale to come up, you're gonna bring your foot forward and then go back. You might only go a little bit here to start. We're gonna build on it. So come back up. Forward and then back. Again, come back up. And this is movement to your breath. Your breath might be a little bit different. So just follow the rhythm of your breath. Take another inhale to lift your foot up. And then when you exhale, bring the leg back into airplane. So your arms are going to extend behind you. Bend your right knee. And as you exhale, you're going to tap your left toes to the floor, nice and slow. Now this is helpful to hold a block underneath of you if you need that assistance, okay? Put the block under your hand. Otherwise, you're just tapping your toe as you bend your right knee. Lowering. Inhale to lift. And really thinking of all this engagement in your core body. Next time your toe touches the ground, you're going to leave it there. And your arms are going to sweep up to the sky. This is a lunge, so your back heel is lifted. So your hands can be on the floor if you need some assistance to lower that left knee down, but gently touch your left knee to the floor. Again, this is where the block is helpful. Place the block in your right hand or your right hand to the floor, and the left arm sweeps up and over. And just take your left shoulder back. All right, we're gonna just cycle a little bit of movement here. So inhale to reach up and over, and then exhale, straighten this right leg and fold over top. So forehead to knee. Block in hand for your assistance if you need. Inhale, the right hand beside, arm over, and then exhale to fold over. Nice and slow. Reach up and over, straighten out the right leg, and all right. Inch your hands forward in front of your right toes, and you're gonna fly this leg back up into airplane. Push away from the ground. So the harder would be that your spine is more parallel to the floor. The leg is lifted. The easier would be that your chest is quite upright. So feel that out. What is it that you need? And then come back up, and you're gonna place this left foot on the floor. You're gonna take your right foot to the inner thigh into tree. If your inner thigh is not accessible, place it inside your calf, even your toe on the ground. So mudras with the hands, index fingers, thumbs touch. Right hand slides down inside of your right knee as your left arm reaches over. I'm all about the side lengthening, especially in a warm-up, because it frees up the spine. You have so much more space to move. Reach over. And you can even have a toe on the floor if balance is not helpful here. And then come back up to center. Place this right foot on the ground. Now I'm going to give you two options. You can do a full vinyasa going into chaturanga, or you can just follow me, okay? So inhale, reach up to the sky, and exhale, forward fold. If you're going to full vinyasa, everyone, this is halfway lift, so just lift your chest. And then you can hop or step back, go into your chaturanga, otherwise fold. And inhale, rise up again. And exhale, hands to your heart. And if you're doing the full vinyasa, hop or step forward, meet us in a standing at the top of your mat. Inhale, your arms reach up towards the sky. Now the weight is on your left foot, the right foot lifts, and you're going to extend your right leg back and the arms reach back. And then arms come up as your foot comes forward. And we just go right into the other side. Nice and slow. And smooth out the edges of your breath. Your range of motion is irrelevant. So it's like, don't get attached to how far, how deep you go. Rather just let your breath move you. Allow yourself to be really present with your body, accepting of where you are. Exhale it back into airplane, and this is where you're going to stay, and that's also where the block is handy. Arms are sweeping back, and as you exhale, tapping the right toes to the ground. Inhale to lift the leg and tapping. Push away as you lift, and just think about your whole body working together. Hand on the block is very helpful for this movement, if you need it. One more lift, and then next time you exhale, lower that foot behind you as you rise and lift your arms into a high lunge. Your back heel is lifted. Putting your hands on the floor to help you, otherwise drop your right knee to the mat. Reach up, and then left hand on your block beside you as your right arm reaches up and over. And it's a really nice extension for this whole right side. Take an inhale. Exhale, straighten out the right or left leg and just fold forward. It's just getting used to like moving very slowly. And I say this a lot, but it's all about the transitions. So it's not necessarily about the pose itself. It's about how you come into it and how you go out of it. How much attention are you placing on that? It's kind of relatable to life. How do we switch lanes? One more inhale to lift your arm over, and then exhale to hinge forward and stay here for a couple of breaths. The inhales is where you lengthen your spine, you find the length, and the exhale is where you go in deeper. Now on your next exhalation, the left foot is going to plant, and you slowly lift your back knee, press away. This is airplane. Lift up. On your next inhale, coming up to stand, and we're going to do the same thing we did just before. So full vinyasa if you want to go into that. Otherwise, follow me. Reaching up, diving forward and down. Find a halfway lift. And either hop or step back to plank. Cycle through your chaturanga, lowering, otherwise folding, and reaching back up to the sky. Hands move to your heart. When you have completed your vinyasa, hop or step to the front and meet us in standing. Putting your weight on the right foot, left foot. It was like the words couldn't come out. It was like, okay. Yeah, that's all right. That's right. So your left foot to your inner right thigh or your inner calf. Just same thing you do on the other side. And then take the mudras and bring your hand, the back of your hand inside of your knee.
You were opposite.
You were opposite.
Was it? Yeah.
You were. Huh. Tell me.
What a river.
He's always doing his own thing over here. So just reach up and over. Come back up to center. Take your feet hip distance apart. So if you need to measure so that two of your fists can go between, your feet are totally parallel, arms up towards the sky. When you sit into an imaginary chair, your wrists line up with your shoulders, reaching forward. Sit down. Now just have a look at your toes, see that they're visible in front of your knees, so you can push your hips back a little bit here as you reach forward. And just lean back, look forward, lift your heart up. Take your fingers and glue them together and then start to hug, like muscle around your arm bones. So engage your arms, soften your shoulders down, and see if you can bring your hips down a little bit lower. Now, stay at that height there with your hips and lift your heels off the ground as high as can be. Keep your arms parallel to the floor and press into the balls of your feet. Even if you want, lift your balls right off the floor up onto your toes. Point here is to keep your spine straight. And breathe. Coming down a little lower in your hips. Keep your hips where they are, but drop your heels. And now you inch your toes towards each other. Your hips are still low, and your knees touch. You might need to lift your heels off the ground. And then just watch that you're not tipping forward too much. Keep your chest lifted, squeeze the knees, and slowly lower your hips to the ground. Let your heels come off the ground to do that. Sit up tall. Sit up tall. Arms are strong. And then slowly squeezing the knees, come back up. Let's come back up slowly. Keep pulling your shoulders back. 5, squeeze your knees together. 3, 2, 1. And your feet together. Hands by your side. Full vinyasa or the half, like I did. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to dive forward. Halfway lift, lengthen, and either hop or step back. Or fold. Chaturanga, or reach up towards the sky. And hands to your heart or down dog, slowly coming forward to the top, rise up. Meeting an equal weight standing, so palms face forward. Okay, put weight into the right foot. Lift up your left knee so that it's lined up with your left hip. And just stand like this. So I'm going to give you step by step, okay? So right here, you can stay. Or next step would be round over and grab a hold of your foot. So if holding your foot creates a really bendy standing leg, go back to standing up. And if you're rounded over and holding the foot, make sure your left knee is still lined up with your left hip. And then just try this out. If you're holding your foot, push your foot down and resist it with your arms. Gives you a very interesting stretch. So stay like that. Otherwise, kick your heel forward. And if you're still standing up, keep that left leg, left knee in line with the hip and stay strong. And if you're kicking out, extending your heel forward. If you're kicking out, elbows down below the leg and forehead to knee. Otherwise, still standing up, holding the knee in place. And then everyone come back to stand with your left knee in line with the hip. Palms forward. Send your left leg back into airplane. Inhale your arms forward, bend your front knee and step the left foot back. Warrior 1. So your left heel connects to the floor and your arms reach up towards the sky. Reach up. Left hand is going to go to the back of your leg. And now you're going to find exalted warrior. So meaning your upper body goes back. Keep the bend of your front knee. And straighten your back leg. I did this in class yesterday. Let's do it today. It was really interesting, actually. Okay, so Interesting is always interesting. Stacy's like, interesting, right? Okay, so bring your hands together in front of your forehead. Now when you exhale, you're gonna bring your elbows towards your hip bones. Okay, drop your head. And then you inhale and lift your arms up and back. And then come back again. So the point here is that you want your left hip pulling forward, and now when your elbows come down, you can see like, holy moly, my left hip's way back. So keep your left hip pulling forward. And exhale to come in. Keep the right knee bent. And drop your head. It's interesting, right? So bring your elbows towards your hip bones. And eventually you would want your rounded spine so much that your elbows touch. And then you stretch out that front line. And it's like also working the psoas, like really pulling in. People used to always say to me, I want a core class. And I would say, it's all a core class. You're working the core the whole time. And one more time to bring your elbows in. And then come back up to center. All right, keep your hands like this. And then inhale, lift your left leg up. Okay, one more time. We're gonna go back into warrior three. So warrior three is your arms are gonna reach forward as your foot goes back. Now, you might need to bend your right knee. And if that's just not happening, you place your hands on your hips. You keep your chest quite upright. This is also doing it. Okay. We're gonna hold here and breathe. Find that still point within. For 3, for 2, come up to stand, hands to your heart. Put weight on the left foot. And then we're just gonna take this right ankle on top of your left knee or left thigh. Okay, so hands can slide down to your shin and knee, ankle and knee. This might be enough. And just work on like bending your standing leg a little bit so you can push your hips back. That might be enough for you. If it's not enough, you keep going forward and down. If that's still not enough, you wrap around your hands around your shin and you kind of pull that shin up towards your belly, up towards your chest. And then slowly releasing the foot so that the right ankle hangs below the knee. Okay, standing tall. Here we go. Stand like this, hold your foot. And so if you're like, whoa, holy moly, it just gets too much, you can always just like tap out, join back in when you're ready. Sometimes is like the hardest thing to do is actually give ourselves permission to do that. So round over, grab a hold of the foot if you did on the other side. And then push your foot down to the ground as you resist. Find steadiness, and if you kicked out on the other side, kick out. Elbows below the shin, forehead to knee. And we'll come back up to stand, keep the bend of that leg, and then extend the leg back behind you. Inhale, your arms come forward, and exhale, step the foot back, warrior one. That's it. Right hand to the back of your leg. So you want your back foot toes like pointing forward as much as can be to get that right hip forward. Right hand to the back of your leg, reach up and back. And then inhale, both arms come up. Take your hands together in front of your forehead. Now slowly curling. Elbows to touch your hips. And then inhale, slide your hands back up. Back. And then pulling in. So you want to really feel like your tailbone comes forward, forehead to tailbone. And then reaching up. What you want to avoid is the hip moving as you transition, okay? Keep that right hip forward. So there's a kind of energy you can tune into where it's like from the waist down, there's like this masculine energy, like really secure, really stable. And then from the waist up, it's like feminine, really light. And you want your spine to move that way because if it gets too rigid, problems happen. And that's essentially what we're doing, just keeping a healthy spine. One more inhale to lift up. And exhale to come in. Keep your hands. Inhale your arm up. Push into the left foot. Come up with this right knee. And leg goes back. Warrior 3. So the last of it, it's like razor focus on your inner landscape and the cycle of your breath. And your whole body works together. So if that means that you give yourself a moment, do that. We're almost there. Steadiness for 3. For 2. 1. Come back up, pressing into the right foot. Take your left ankle to the top of your leg. So this is a figure 4. Looks like the number 4 from the front. Bend your standing leg and just hinge. Push your hips back. And just like I mentioned before, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. So you're just starting it in the beginning, sussing it out. Okay, going further is available. Just like the other side. You do the same thing. Back up and dangle the left ankle below your knee. Okay, your right arm is going to reach to the sky. Left hand is going to reach for the instep of your left foot. Okay, starting points. Kick up and back. And sometimes the starting point is also your end point. So again, it's totally fine. You can stay there. Otherwise, start to kick up and back and reach your right hand forward. Try to look down your fingertips as opposed to the floor. It keeps your chest upright. You want to continue to feel that kicking up and back. And then just breathe here. Stay for 3, for 2, 1. Wow. That's awesome. Left foot to the ground. Right palm up, left arm to the sky. Reach back for your foot. Bring your knees together. Kick up and back. Kick up and back, and then start to hinge forward with your left hand. Look forward. Find your edge. So good. Stay for 3, for 2, 1. All right, feet together. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Full vinyasa as you exhale. Forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Hop or step back. Otherwise, following me if you're not doing the full vinyasa. Reach up to the sky. Everyone meeting back in standing. At the top of your mat. All right. Okay, so as you inhale, lift your arms up. Press into the right foot. Lift your left knee. Fly the leg back. Just one more time. My airplane. Inhale, your arms come forward. Bend your front knee. And step back into warrior one. Reach up as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, open into warrior two. So your back foot goes back just a little further. Make sure your right knee's over your ankle. Now look to the left side, push your hips forward, open your palms, and windmill so the right hand goes down as your left arm stretches up. You don't want to have any weight on your elbow. So if that means that you lift higher, lift till your hand is in front, do that. The lower you go, the more that will be physically demanding of you. And then see if you can take this left shoulder and roll it back. Maybe even take your chin to touch your left shoulder. Now, as much as you have weight on the right foot, put weight on the back foot. Good job. And getting your right hip tucking under. Still, if I was to look at you from the front, it's like you're trying to fit between glass without any weight on your bottom hand. Rather, lift up to the sky. So lift up and stretch down. And just be here in this. Breathe for 3, for 2. Now as you reach up and out of this, you're going to put some weight on the left foot, start to bend your left knee. All right, and so from here, you're going to bend your left knee and straighten your right leg. So use your block. You might need to, or place your hands on the floor. Lift your right toes, and the point would be to keep your left heel on the ground. So use your block, okay, if you need to. Now as you straighten this right leg, don't hyperextend the knee. Drop your left elbow inside your left knee or reach your right arm up if it's possible. And this also looks like this, okay? This is also doing it. You can also have your elbow on your knee like that. Okay, now, as you lift your hips, turn your gaze to your back foot. Your hands are now gonna frame your back foot, and now you're gonna be facing the back of your mat. Oh my goodness. Drop your right knee to the floor and start to turn your left toes about 45 degrees out, like turning your toes to the left. Yep, you got it. Now with your right hand or your elbow on the floor, you're gonna take your left hand inside and put your block, use your block underneath of your right hand or elbow. It will be helpful. Now your left hand can push inside your left knee as you kind of open and turn your gaze to the left, and eventually lifting your back foot if you have the flexibility. So keep your right knee on the floor and lift your back foot and reach back with the left hand. Yep, you got it. Yeah. One step at a time. Just turn to the left. That might be enough. Good. Stay for 3. Nice job. Breathe through your nose. For 2. And then on 1, bring your hands in front of the left foot. Now, tuck your back toes under, lift the knee, and step your right foot halfway forward so that you can have both of your heels on the floor. Okay. Hands come up first to your left knee. Interlock your fingers on the front of that knee. Straighten your spine. Good. And then come all the way up with your spine straight. Come all the way up. Chest up. Okay. So the distance between your heels is the width of your mat. Think about that, okay? So your heels push down, back heel. Lift your arms up towards the sky. Take your hands together and just cross your thumbs so your hands are in prayer. Then tuck your chin to your chest. And slowly round your spine
forward. So look at your belly button as you slowly round. Now your hands can touch the floor. Bend your left knee. I like to take my hands behind my head and put some pressure to bring my forehead to touch my left knee. And you can also have your hands on blocks. You can also have your hands on your shin. Just take it to what works for you. But really working at curling forward, forehead to knee. Straighten out your back leg. Take your left hip further back. Stay for 3, for 2, and now, okay, transitions are important. Coming out the same way you went in. Hands are in prayer, slowly unravel. I used to make people do this like so slow, and I'd be like, slower, slower. Coming up, out. Pivot around. Now pivot to the front. We're just gonna go right into the other side of that same pose. So left hip forward, right hip back. Reach up to the sky. Tuck your chin into your chest, curling in. Look at your belly button. Tuck it in, tuck it in. Hands either to the floor or hovering, or to the back of your head, forehead to knee. Again, the point of all these movements is to keep a flexible spine or create one. Right hip back, left hip forward. And so again, the point here would be to really round your spine. So you want to tuck your chin into your chest. Yep. And then we try not to get complacent and just hang out in the pose. Stay very active. Constantly finding little tiny movements for your pelvis. Right hip back, left hip forward. Good, and stay steady. You can do it. A little bit of lightness on your fingertips. Focus on your core body holding you here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Unravel your spine. Come up to the top of your mat and your hands to your right center. Okay, let's do that full vinyasa or half if you're following me. Inhale, arms reach up to the sky. Exhale to dive forward and fold. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Hopper step back, chaturanga if you're doing that. Otherwise, forward fold. Rise up if you're doing half vinyasa. And when you get to downward facing dog in the full hopper step forward, come up to stand. Meeting in equal weight standing. Okay, other side. Put weight on the left foot. Lift your right knee, arms up. Fly the leg back, airplane. Nice and slow. Inhale, your arms come forward. Bend your left knee, step back, warrior 1. Reach up to the sky. And warrior 2. Warrior 2, your arms reaching away from your body, away from the ends of your mat. Left palm is going to reach up towards the sky. I didn't do this on the other side, but back to center. Hips come forward, look to that right side of your mat, and then windmill the hands. So the left hand goes down, right arm comes up. So, yeah, you got it. So your hand is on the inside of your knee. Perfect. Can you take the right shoulder back? Without any weight on your left hand. Without any weight on your left hand, take your right hip a little back. And the same thing you did on the other side. Lots of activity here in this lifted arm. In this right arm. And as much as you have weight on the left foot, can you put more weight on the back foot? Yeah, really good. And then think about lifting the arch of the back foot high up into your leg. Use your core body, navel to spine. And then look up to your right fingertips maybe and bring your chin to touch your right shoulder. You got it. We're almost there. Use your whole body, working together, and breathe. Stay for 3. Right shoulder back for 2. And then reach up and out of this. Nice work. Bending into the right knee, dropping your hips.
Put your hands on the floor if you need to, okay? Put your hand on a block. Also, if you need to, drop your right shoulder. And so as much as you can, keep your right heel on the floor. Bend your left knee slightly as you lift your toes. Yep. Hand on the block or hand on the floor, left hand up. Works. Take an inhale. And then start to pivot to the right toes. Pivot your all toes that face the back of your mat. And we go into that dragon variation. So the back knee touches the floor. You're facing the back of your mat. Turn your right toes out at a 45-degree angle. And put your block underneath of your hand as your right hand moves to the inside of your right knee. And then you can lift your back foot if you did on the other side. All right, now as we transition, you're going to lift your back, put your back toes under, lift your hips, and turn to the left long edge of your mat, the left side of your body, yeah. All your toes are gonna face the side of your mat, and you're going to inhale and find length of your spine, so hands underneath of your shoulders, okay? Okay, so now we're just gonna find a little bit of movement here. Shift your hips from side to side. Okay, so now we're going to move the spine. So your left hand is below your heart. Put your block underneath of you. If you're really hunched over and feeling like this is far, not comfortable, left hand on the highest level of your block. Inhale, lift your right arm up towards the sky, and then bend your left knee. Yep, that's it. Bend your knee and take your right hand around your back and hook your hand around to that hip if you have that availability. And if you don't, you place your hand on your low back. Yeah, and if you want more, because you're like, this is good, left hand is gonna reach away from your head. Yeah. And stay for 3, for 2, and 1, change it up. So right hand goes down, same spot. Left arm up, bend your right knee. Take your left hand around your back. Really creating nice straight spines, so lifting your chest up. Good job. And then only if it's easy, right hand goes forward. Only if your spine is straight, right hand goes forward. Otherwise, put your hand on your block and twist. 3, for 2. And for 1. Now you're going to walk your hands to the front of your mat. And you're going to just step back and land on your belly. And all the way down. Okay. So your arms are going to reach back. Forehead on the floor. Now I'm going to give you step by step, okay? Maybe have your block handy because it might feel good to put your forehead on the block. Okay. So, right foot and left hand lift off the ground. Put it back down. Right hand, left foot lift. Okay, so this is a starting point. And you're just transitioning from side to side.
Step number 2, if this is like you want more, then you bring your arms forward. And you do the same thing. Opposite hand, opposite foot. You lift your chest and you look forward. And then step number 3 is you don't actually touch anything to the ground in between. You just lift up from there. You'll get to know what works for you, what you can have longevity with. Longevity is key. You don't want to just do something for the sake of doing it. You want to be able to do it for a while. You want to be able to expand on it. Maybe explore it. You want to be able to have some ease and grace with it. About 5 more times on each side. Remembering to do the thing that works for you. Last one. And then take your hands and place them underneath your forehead. If you've got a lot of fire in your low back, bend your knees and let your feet drop to the right and left a few times. Exhale through your mouth a few times too. Okay, second pose. Feet back behind you, hands beside you. Step number 1, lift your hands and feet off the ground. Step number 2, interlock your fingers behind your back and lift. If you're at this step and you're like feeling pretty good, bend your knees and hold your feet. And if that does not happen, you reverse. You go back to the beginning even. Find your expression and expand on it. Stay there for 3, for 2, and 1. Forehead on your hands and rest. And what I encourage you in between these poses that we're going to do is that you have full rest. Let your body completely relax. Without holding tension in your glutes or pushing your feet on the floor, just relax your legs. Okay, so this last one you can do a repeat. So repeat of that, just this last pose we did. So full locust, where your legs lift, your hands lift. Step number 1, maybe stay down. Step 2, fingers interlock. And you lift. Or step 3, hold your feet and start to kick up and back. What is best for you right now? Find your fullest expression, whatever you've chosen to do. Listen to your breath. Full expression for 3, for 2. Nice job. And 1. Rest, 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 rest. Okay, just get your block or bolster handy. You might need it for this one. Take your right arm out to the side, and you're just looking that your elbow lines up with your shoulder. Okay, so as your left hand is underneath of your shoulder, roll onto your right side. And this is where a lot of people's heads is like really high off the ground. Just slide that bolster or block under your head. And put your left foot on the ground, like bend your knee and just put your foot there. Couple more breaths. And then back onto your belly and just change it up. So the other arm goes out and the right hand underneath of you as you roll onto your left side. Yeah, and your right hand can just stay underneath of your shoulder even as you lift your right knee up to the sky. Yeah, that's it. So you want to eventually think about bringing the back of your right hip to the ground. Not by force, as your spine allows. And just settle into a few deep breaths. Back onto the belly. Now this transition is up to you. You could do a high plank to down dog to your knees, or you could just go right back into child's pose, which I'm just gonna do. Lean back onto your knees and touch your forehead down. Okay, and then you're gonna come up, so now you're sitting on your hips on heels. So if you're not comfortable sitting like this, you can always put the block underneath of you, right in between your legs. All right, arms up towards the sky. Now you're gonna take your hands to prayer and just cross your thumbs. Bless you. Okay, so hinging forward, the key would do this with a straight spine. Make sure you're breathing, keeping your arms by your ears. You might hit a point where you're like really teetery, and you might need to put your hands down. Otherwise, slowly coming down till eventually forehead and nose touch the ground. Straighten out your arms and inch your hands away from your head. And the only part of your arms that are touching the floor is like the pinky finger side of your hands. And then imagine that your hands want to glue together, holding any tiny little particle in your hands. Just squeeze your palms together. And then see if you can squeeze your knees together and think about dropping your hips back. Now slow down your breath. Slow it right down. This posture is called half tortoise, and they say that this pose is really good for calming your nervous system and preparing you for sleep. I have been one to do this pose for 5 minutes before sleep, and I have noticed it's helpful, like in times where my nervous system's just more jacked. And so you help to calm your nervous system by breathing slower, exhaling longer than you inhale. Okay. And then now we're gonna reverse that the same way you went in. So without momentum. floor with a straight spine coming all the way up. And when you're up, you're gonna now spin around and just lie down on your back. Little mini Shavasana as you lie down. So the double exhale sit up, I'll explain it before we do it. Some of you know exactly what it is, others don't maybe. So how it goes is you're gonna take an inhale, and your first exhale, you're gonna reach your hands up to the sky and sit up. And your second exhale, you're gonna reach for your feet and round forward. So let's do it together. So take your feet together. Arms lift over your head, on the floor, overhead. Take an inhale. Exhale, sit up, reach up, and then fold over your legs. And spin around, or just come forward onto your knees. Okay, so onto your knees one more time. And so if this hurts and you're like, I don't like this, it's good for you. Because, the ankles like to fuse in a position like that, and we want to get them back like that. Okay, so come up onto your knees, right up. To make this a little easier, you can tuck your toes underneath of you. Just make sure your knees are hip distance width apart. Okay, start with your hands on your low back. You can start with your heels of your hands, the top of the hips. Look forward and up. Some of you might be at your edge, like, that's enough, I'm good. You can just stay there. The next step would be that you take your fingertips and you point them up. And you go further back. If you can drop your head back, you drop your hands back to your heels. And continue to go back. And if that's still good, you drop the tops of your feet down and you go all the way back. And then we slowly come back up and out of this. And you spin around and lie down on your mat for this Shavasana. And that double exhale sit up. So take your feet together. Arms up over your head. Take a breath in. Double exhale. All right, spin around. And sit at the back of your mat. One more time, hips on heels, last time. Okay, so again, it's step by step. We're gonna round our spine forward now. So you take your hands underneath of your hips. And you can watch me if you have never done this before. You can watch me get into this so that you're not looking from side to side. You don't want to do that when you get into the pose. So you just start off sitting up tall, and then you tuck your chin in. And essentially you're just rounding your spine all the way forward. Down. And you might stop here because it's enough. And that's amazing. Touch your forehead maybe to your knees. If that's still available, then your hands grip around your heels and you lift your hips up. And if your hips are lifted up, you keep pulling your forehead towards your knees. And this is all about keeping a really rounded spine. The complete opposite of that previous pose. Your full expression of this. Not very much weight on the top of your head if your head's on the floor. Now uncurl the same way you went in. So coming all the way up. Looking forward. And spin around, lie down on your back, Shavasana. Last time for this mini Shavasana. Just allowing your body to like recollaborate in those poses. Toes and heels together. Arms over your head, take a breath in. Double exhale, sit up. All right, spin around. Okay, so facing forward, left foot comes out, right foot comes in. Turn to that foot, extended leg, reach up. You can bend your left knee a lot so that your hands can reach down for your foot or your shin, and then lengthen your spine and slowly come forward over this leg. So still following the rhythm of your breath. And then as you inhale, come up to center. Switch your legs, right leg out, left leg. Turn to the right leg, reach up and over top. Come back up to center, lift both arms. And your feet come forward now, okay? Your fingers are gonna grab a hold of your big toes. Your feet can be hip distance apart. Bend your knees a lot if you need. Sit up tall. Now with a straight spine, you're gonna hinge forward, straightening the legs. Straightening your spine. You can do this with your legs together, doing so lengthen and hinge. Try and keep your spine straight in this variation. So we've had a lot of chance to stretch and strengthen our spine. And if you round your spine, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna focus on the space along your spine. But if you keep your spine straight, you focus on your hamstrings more. And just doing that, that's the intention. So you can sit either hips on heels or cross-legged, but we're gonna do a little bit of breathing before we go into our final rest. Shavasana. He's ready. So your hands can just rest on your knees or your shins. So this breathing exercise is when you inhale, your belly fills, and then like you snap your belly in and push your air out. As you a napkin. It's right on top. Yeah. All right. So I just create a rhythm, and you can follow along to that rhythm and stop as you need. But we're just really thinking about getting any stagnant air out of our body. We just want to just finish off this way. All right, take a breath in and out. Half breath in. Close the practice here. Just take your hands to your forehead. Just bow to your heart and just acknowledging the light within yourself. And namaste.
closing here, and you can now come into Shavasana. So lie on your back and probably just play some bowls a little bit here while you rest. So you can put the blocks under your knees, you can, whatever you feel like you need to for support, to lay flat here. And for those of you online, thanks so much for